Hello, and this talk is on the Western way of war in the past and the future. I'd like to start off with saying what most armies are based on. The modern soldier was based on the Romans. Now the Romans replaced the Greeks as the main power because they were direct and sought to have a decisive annihilation of their enemies. They based themselves on the Greeks and were influenced by the Greeks, for instance, in the idea of marching armies, to train the army, to also include Pancration. Now, Marius, and the Roman soldiers were nicknamed Marius's mules, were because they had to carry their own packs, were taught by the gladiators. And a good book to read on this is by Susan Shadrake, as you can see, which details how Pancration, which was the Greco-Roman form of Jiu-Jitsu and maybe Western martial arts, went east, as I've said in my other talks. What distinguished the Roman soldier from the Greek soldier or any others was that he was based on the section system of 8 men, right? And then this was then formed up into cohorts and then into larger formations called legions, which we're all familiar with. And each soldier was a specialist in a particular craft or skill that was needed on the battlefield. Now, modern soldiers are increasingly becoming specialists in a variety of different skills. For instance, the British soldier is taught to also be a leader because, like the Israelis and like the Germans of World War II, they're particularly the Waffen-SS of World War II, they use command and control systems whereby any Tom can become a leader if his immediate superior is killed or wounded or in some way put out of action. So you've got this flexibility and this leadership mentality throughout the entire armed forces. Also, the British soldier is not only a killer but a builder. He can build roads and things, just like the Roman soldier. Now, what is the future of modern war? In a book called Wired for War, you're combining, which is about the robotics of war, and a similar book, which is which is by Susan Greenfield, called Tomorrow's People. You can read that. How 21st century will change the way we think and feel. Well, almost 12,000 new robotic units are being used in Iraq right now, from things as simple as a packbot to a UAV, Predator drones. There's even an automated stealth bomber. Now, increasingly, technology is going to take over, and you're going to see up to half of all infantry brigades being made up of non-human soldiers, in that they're small, simple, relatively simple robots. But these are going to increase because of Moore's law, which means that technology doubles every 2 years, to eventually by 2025 perhaps be have the capabilities, if not look, like a modern infantryman. However, technology has a quality of being dumb compared to the human being. Technology just sees a woman in a wheelchair as being ones and zeros. It doesn't distinguish between that and an insurgent. So robots would be used for mainly the combat phase, or for defusing IEDs, dirty, unpleasant work, dirty and dangerous. Now, this is being brought together with the so-called Generation Kill phenomena. These are American soldiers, particularly American soldiers, and I think it might be a unique American phenomenon that people are being raised in the media, subjected to violent images of war, and also sexual images on the internet and things, which is giving them this media mentality. You'll see YouTube war, basically, where soldiers, what they call war porn, are basically showing exactly their point of view to the enemy, from the enemy to people who are civilians. But now you're seeing UAV predator drone pilots who spend 12 hours at work killing Al Qaeda and then come back home. Now, what does this mean for modern war, and what does this mean for American and European power? Well, it means that more capabilities will be needed from soldiers. So soldiers may become scientist soldiers, where you're testing the air, you'll have some skills with robotics, and this is also gives you more power projection per soldier. Now, Fred Franks in Into the Storm coordinated the equipment being placed in different countries throughout the world. This is why America has got so many thousands of bases around the world, so that troops could just be transported there and left there. Now, with the introduction of robotics, you could almost have automated systems, half automated systems having some form of force protection or guarding or other such things there, to dominate that region, which is useful. And the book about Fred Franks is called Into the Storm, and it's by Tom Clancy, as you can see. Another good book to read on war is the tome that is the basis of most modern war writing, and that is Clausewitz on War. Very good book. I recommend it. Unfortunately, this one has got the section on night fighting left out, and night fighting particularly is becoming the area where the West has got a major advantage over its opponents to be able to fight at night. Almost 50% of the battles in 2003 with the invasion by the British forces of the area around Basra in Iraq was fought at night, and you're using coordination of armour, electronics in the digital age to overpower the enemy. And so in this talk we've detailed what was the past and what was the future of the war. Well, right now we're seeing this transitional phase, this revolution in military affairs, but is that being used wisely, and is it being used morally? Well, I think it was actually immoral to go into Iraq with such few troops. This technology is giving the policymakers the idea that they can fight war very cheaply with minimal cost, and there's no substitute for being put with boots being put on the ground. The British forces have been also specialising in winning over hearts and minds, because of their peacekeeping as well as warfighting experience, are increasingly more effective than the Americans. But the Americans are learning and then getting up to speed because they would betray us in anti-insurgent warfare. Now, all of this is beside the fact of whether I think the Iraq war was justified or not. I'm kind of in two minds about that, and that might be the basis for a new video. Thank you for listening.